would like to...
Off on another adventure, are we? Revelio. I should investigate. Howin will never believe this. These rocks have seen better days.
What are we even doing here? We ought to be at the hot set.
Revelio. Levioso. Do cooperate, won't you? Assignment's all finished. Confringo!
Excellent work today. Class dismissed. I take it you're ready to learn your...
I completed your assignment, Professor. I'm ready to learn Bombarda now.
Good. Now, this spell comes with a caveat. It should only be used when necessary. The exploding charm, as you might suspect, can hurt people. Use caution when casting it.
I will, Professor.
I will hold you to that promise. Now, you must be precise in your wand movements. We don't want you blowing your hand off. Go ahead. Nice and steady wand movements. Remember, the exploding charm is highly volatile. Well done. Now, let us put it into practice, shall we? Go ahead and try it on the pump.
Bombarda!
Excellent wand work. Cast the spell just like that every time. Assured and in control.
I've always said that travel broadens the mind.
If only a new student
Why I
would
have
help.
received a letter from a muggle claiming to be the mother of a friend of yours asking me to...
Bombarda!
You'll never believe what I've learned.
What did you discover in the spellbook we found in the scriptorium?
Salazar Slytherin's spellbook was a little difficult to interpret, but fascinating. Evidently, he encouraged teaching dark magic at Hogwarts. Neither the Imperious Curse nor the Killing Curse was unforgivable during his time. He believed students should be prepared to use dark magic when necessary, not to fear it. That's why we had to use Crucio to gain access to the scriptorium. He didn't want his knowledge shared with anyone who was afraid of the power of dark magic.
It was hard to do, but casting Crucio was our only option.
And I'm glad we did it, because in the spellbook I also found something else. References to a lost relic, which, from what I can tell, grants the holder the power to reverse dark magic curses.
And you think this relic might be able to save Anne?
Precisely. I plan to search for this relic, but I don't think we should tell anyone. Especially Ominous. He wouldn't understand.
I see no reason to involve Ominous.
I'm glad you agree. When I know more, I shall send an owl. And don't feel sorry for Ominous. Keeping this to ourselves for now is for his own good.
I'll decide what's for my own good.
Ominous, we were just about to get some air. Care to join?
You're a liar, Sebastian.
Bombarda!
I heard everything. You swore you'd never engage in anything to do with dark magic again.
No, I didn't. I said I understood you wanting that. I'd never swear to give up on finding a cure for Anne.
You don't know when to stop, do you?
I know when not to stop. Leave this alone, Ominous. I'll be on my way.
I am not letting this go.
Ominous, Sebastian meant well.
I know what I heard. You knew I wouldn't agree with this. Going after that relic is not a good idea. Sebastian doesn't even realize it, but he's as irresponsible and reckless now as his parents were years ago. It's why they died.
I knew his parents died, but I never heard what happened.
Mr. and Mrs. Sallow were professors. Spent nearly every waking moment in the cellar library. Noses buried in books. Anne and Sebastian were upstairs when it happened. They heard a sudden crash and ran downstairs, but it was too late. Their parents had crumpled to the floor. A defect with the lamp in the cellar caused the room to fill with an undetectable toxin. Sebastian and Anne were helpless. They had no magic yet.
What a horrible story.
It is. That's why I can't understand Sebastian's recklessness. I've practically lost Anne. I cannot lose Sebastian too. Please avoid anything to do with that spellbook.
Those references in the book seem promising.
Everything to do with Salazar Slytherin seems promising until it's too late. I hope Sebastian pursues this no further, but if you think he might, please let me know. It would mean a lot.
Handy resource indeed, your field. I'm most pleased to be included. Highwing, go! Faster, Highwing!
Brilliant!
Nobody can do a hex like me, and I dare you to prove me wrong. You saw that first year with the engorged head.
How did you get on with those tasks?
Madam Kogawa, I completed the list of tasks you assigned.
Wonderful. I trust you became more familiar with your broom through the process?
Yes, Professor.
That's good to hear. Keep it up, and perhaps one day you'll have a spot on the Quidditch team. If Black ever permits Quidditch again. Well, with those tasks out of the way, let us get started. Glacius. Pay attention to your wand work. Well done. I'd recommend that you practice your new spell here in my office before taking it out into the world. Glacius, there you go. Catching them quickly. Learned its lesson, but do continue to practice it. Kinesthesia is a powerful learning tool.
Seems a pleasant enough little place. 8 legs is simply too many.
Nice to see you, my young friend.
Have you finished your assignments?
I finished the tasks, Professor.
Well, well. I trust you are meticulous in your efforts. After all, shortcuts only ever lead to shortcomings.
Yes, sir, of course.
Good. Ordinarily, I'd say it's not my concern either way, but you... I want to make sure you're well prepared. Talent and resolve are a potent combination. It would be a shame to let that go to waste.
Thank you, Professor.
Don't let it go to your head. Now, let's see how you fare with Diffindo. Wand at the ready. Focus. Diffindo can be dangerous if you're not paying attention. Very good. It seems you have a grasp on Diffindo. I would encourage you once again to practice here in the classroom. And that of everyone else.
It's
It's a pleasure to have a student who actually heeds instruction.
You can't imagine how inconvenient travel was before I invented blue powder.
Ironically, I didn't see ahead of time how bored I'd be in divination class.
So knowledgeable.
Revelio.
What do we have here?
I hope those assignments were challenging enough for you.
I've completed all of my tasks, Professor Onai.
Very well done. Although I must admit, I did have something of a premonition that you would follow through. Now, as you have no doubt sharpened your perception by completing my assignment, I am curious, based upon the knowledge that one's present and even one's past may reveal traces of what is to come. What do you see in your own future?
There will be hardship, I'm sure of it, but I see triumph in the end.
A measured perception. Very wise. Nothing worthwhile is ever easy, and that is why such futures are worth striving for. But this talk of tomorrow should not divert us from your present success. I shall inform our good deputy headmistress of your exemplary performance. And if that performance is any omen of what your future may hold, then I, for one, see great things. Channel your magic towards your targets. You have it! Now, why not practice the new spell on the training dummy?
Sender!
Excellent. I think you have it.
Deke would like to talk with you when you have a moment.
Does it get any more cozy than Hogsmeade?
I have a terrible curse where I can't...
Ah, it's always nice to see a familiar face. Nothing like finding just the right thing, is there? Nothing like finding just the right thing, is there? Let me know if there's anything else I can do to help.
Deke would like to talk with you when you have a moment.
What are you up to?
Is that you, Royland? Levioso!
Is Highwing all right? Natty told me what the two of you did.
Highwing's fine. I'm keeping an eye on her. She's safe, Poppy, I promise.
Good. Whatever the poachers are up to, I want Highwing far from it.
You said you had news about the poachers, and that some of it had to do with me.
It did. I overheard them talking in the Hogshead, and did you know that they have orders from Victor Rookwood to capture you on sight? Does this have anything to do with Rookwood and Harlow coming for you in the Three Broomsticks after the troll attack?
It does, somewhat. But at the moment, I'm more concerned about what else you heard the poachers are up to.
Fair enough. But I hope you'll let me know if I can be of help, especially after what you did for Highwing. Does the name Horntail Hall mean anything to you?
I'm afraid not. Why? What is it?
The poachers' best kept secret, apparently. The name came up twice, but they never went into detail. I also overheard one of them bragging about all the gold they're making, at the expense of innocent creatures, undoubtedly. The poachers spoke of this area, and I thought if we searched around a bit, it might give us clues as to what they're doing. If you ever meet my gran, this trip never happened.
Not to worry, Poppy. If I ever meet your gran, I shall not speak a word of this.
I normally tell her everything. She might be my best friend after Highwing, but she knows how I feel about the poachers. I think she worries I'll do something ill-advised.
Whatever gave her that idea?
This way. A centaur. Tread carefully.
An entire castle to roam, yet you choose to wander here.
Please, we don't want any trouble. We're simply passing through.
Do you take us for fools? That we do not notice more and more of your kind around here, in league with the poachers?
We aren't involved with them. If anything, we want to see them stopped.
I hope for your sake that is true. Our kind is swiftly losing patience with the poachers and those they work with.
He was certainly a charmer.
That could have gone worse. Centaurs aren't exactly fans of wizard kind, and the poachers aren't helping matters.
But why would he think that we had anything to do with poachers?
I did notice the poachers talking with a few villagers in Hogsmeade. I'm not sure why. Perhaps that's why the centaurs are suspicious. That's the first time I've seen a dugbog behave that violently.
It seems that a lot of beasts have been more aggressive than usual lately.
I've noticed that too. It's almost like there's something in the water.
Revelio.
This is odd.
What is it?
Not entirely sure, but look around. If the poachers were here, perhaps we can find out why.
Why wouldn't they take their cages with them when they left? Pelts. Poor beasts. Still smoking. They can't have been gone long. Revelio. This is goblin metal. Seems out of place in a poacher camp. I should tell Poppy about it.
Anything interesting?
Poachers were here, all sorts of evidence. But I found something else. It's goblin-made.
I found goblin armor. Let's keep searching, but carefully. Merlin only knows what's going on here. I don't have a good feeling about this. How do goblin and poacher interests align?
Look, down there.
Definitely poachers. No creatures, though.
Revelio.
So what are they doing out here?
Let's take a closer look.
They won't be happy to see us. Should we use disillusionment? Or perhaps a less discreet approach?
Hard to say from up here. Let's get a better lay of the land.
Revelio.
The curiosity they teach at Hogwarts will not serve you well. Back to the dirt. Running home.
Rockborough's famous for someone having a pet.
Confringo!
I heard
No! Let me out!
Incendio!
Merlin, you'd think they were guarding the Minister for Magic himself. What is going on here?
Only one way to find out.
Reparo. Revelio.
What in Merlin's name? Are those dragons? It's a dragon fighting ring. This is Horntail Hall.
The name makes sense now. And the secrecy.
No wonder the poachers were in Hogsmeade so much. Likely taking bets and spreading the word. Given how crowded it is here, how could they possibly enjoy this? The centaurs have every right to be disgusted with wizardkind. There must be more dragons here. The poachers are far too greedy to run a fighting ring with only 2 dragons. We should take advantage of most eyes being in the fight and look around. But be discreet. You especially can't afford to be spotted.
It's an unforgivable curse on me!
Expelliarmus! Confringo!
Have you heard from your family? Has either of your brothers come round to our way of thinking? Join us out. Temptation does not...
Did you hear those goblins? Ramrock and the poachers must be working together.
Poppy, something's going on behind you.
What's going on down there? They must have only just captured her. She's putting up quite the fight.
Not a fair one, though. Not with her chained up like that.
Let's even her it, shall we? Look, they've got a dragon egg. Hebridean from the looks of it. We can't leave it here, not with the plans they likely have for it.
Alohomora.
All right, I have the egg.
Ready. The element of surprise will only buy us a few seconds.
Let's make them count.
No better. Careful! That rope will want to down, think you'll get
You're the one we're looking for, and you, afraid.
Hebridean black.
I'm guessing the egg we have belongs to that dragon.
I don't think she knew they had her egg. She wouldn't have left without it.
What now? She didn't exactly leave us a calling card.
I don't know. Nothing about this day was expected. Not the goblins, and definitely not the fighting ring. The last thing I planned on was a dragon egg. And the poachers saw us, which cannot be good.
We aren't helping ourselves standing here. Let's get to safety. We can sort this out later.
You're right. If there's anything the poachers are good at, it's tracking their prey. And right now, we're it. Be careful, won't you? I shall see you back at the castle.
Deek would like to talk with you when you have it.
Brilliant!
What are you up to now?
Oh, it's you! Just the person I need. Perhaps a hybrid. Bouncing tentacular.
I finished the activities you assigned me, Professor Garlic.
Wonderful! I hope you gained a greater appreciation for the flora in our lives. I am forever enraptured by it. Just yesterday, I spent hours pruning my self-fertilizing shrubs and flutterby bushes. Didn't realize how long I'd been at it until the sun began to set. Well, if there's one thing I love to see more than my plants thriving, it's one of my students doing the same. Now, ready to learn flipendo? Chin up, keep a light grip, and it's all in the wrist. Let's see you give it a go. You will want to focus with this spell. Nothing as mortifying as knocking back a colleague when all you wanted to do was move a few pots. Wonderfully done! If you'd like to practice a bit more, you're welcome to do so here in the greenhouse. Just mind the plants, please. Defender, look at that! You're a natural.
Handy resource indeed, your field guide. I'm most pleased to be included. Revelio. There we go. Wonder who lives here. That's it.
Welcome back. Have you finished your assignment?
Reporting back, Professor. Assignment's all finished.
Well done. Shows good discipline. Wisdom is a golden snitch, as they say, and you're proving a skilled seeker in that regard. Let us practice Arresto Momentum. A charm, incidentally, created to stop quaffles from plummeting straight to the ground during a Quidditch match. Precise, deliberate movements. Very good. I recommend practicing spell as much as possible. Perhaps before you... That's it. Keep it.
So this is the underground harbor.
Revelio.
That book Professor Weasley asked me to find should be around here somewhere.
Revelio.
Looking for the book Intermediate Transfiguration?
Professor Weasley asked me to, get something from that book. May I have it?
Did she now? I'll give you this book if you humour me by answering a few questions from my quiz.
Quiz?
Some people call bits of knowledge trivia. I would argue that no knowledge is trivial. Hence, I have created a small quiz, just for fun, focusing mainly on the lore of the wizarding world. None of the other students will try it, no matter how many times I ask. They all say they have enough with schoolwork. Ugh, they don't value knowledge the way I do. Surely you're interested. I'll even start you off with a few of my easiest questions.
A quiz sounds like fun.
Splendid! Just a few questions, and then I'll hand over this book. Let us begin. Before the invention of the golden snitch, which magical creature was used in a game of Quidditch?
The golden snidget.
Correct! The Snidget was first introduced to Quidditch in 1269 by a wizard named Barbarous Bragg. Sadly, they're thought to be extinct. Next question. Which potion is commonly referred to as liquid luck?
Felix Felicis.
Well done! Since it makes the drinker temporarily lucky, Felix Felicis is a banned substance in all organised competitions. The tale of the three brothers involves which magical artefacts?
The Deathly Hallows.
Correct. According to Beadle the Bard, the Deathly Hallows consists of the Elder Wand, the Resurrection Stone, and the Cloak of Invisibility. Which ball in Quidditch is the largest?
The Quaffle.
That's right. When a chaser throws the quaffle through one of 3 hoops in a Quidditch match, their team is awarded 10 points. True or false? Polyjuice Potion allows the drinker to change species.
True.
Actually, the answer was false. While Polyjuice Potion can be used to change things such as age or race, it cannot be used to change species. Well, I suppose this has gone on long enough. I'll put the book back on the pedestal now. If you're inclined to test your knowledge again, I have plenty more questions I could ask you. And I won't be giving you any more easy questions either. The next ones will be more difficult.
I don't have time for a quiz at the moment.
Let me know if you change your mind. I put the book back on the pedestal for you.
Revelio ought to make quick work of this. Professor Weasley's tasks are complete. I should attend Transfiguration.
I've always said that travel broadens the mind.
You have a new spell to teach me, Professor?
Yes, the transformation spell. But first, I'd like you to carry out a couple of tasks which will help you to complete your field guide. Attend my transfiguration class once you've done them, and we can begin the lesson. settle down. Settle down. Transfiguration, as you may be weary of hearing me say, is an exact science that can take a lifetime to master. But we needn't be daunted. Almost anything can be transformed if you can just perceive the potential within it. As I see in all of you, tremendous witches and wizards, every one of you. Or it could just be my eyesight. Now, you all know what to do. Beautifully done.
You wanted to discuss my progress so far this term, Professor.
I did. You seem to have had no trouble in getting up to speed. And frankly, excelling in your schoolwork this year.
Thank you, Professor. The extra assignments have been helpful.
As I suspected they would be. Now, it seems you haven't been taking full advantage of the opportunities presented by your field guide. I'd advise you not to squander such a resource. Of course, the guide isn't the only measure of success. I've heard that you can brew an impressive Edurus potion. Hopefully, you won't need it anytime soon, but it is a valuable potion to have when it is needed.
Thank you, Professor.
I will say I'm especially impressed with all you've accomplished in light of the rumors of your extracurricular activities. Was your visit to the kitchens and the Hogsmeade graveyard with Nick to bribe a ghost for information connected in any way to Professor Fig?
Not at all. I'm fascinated by ghosts and, food, and I was interested in learning more about the castle and the surrounding area.
I see. I admire your penchant for learning, but do remember that your classwork and field guide are designed to educate you thoroughly. It'll be the end of the year in no time, and you'll want to be well prepared for your OWLs. I'll provide a final assessment at that time to ensure that you're ready for your exams. Until then, well done. You are dismissed.
How nice to see you, my young friend.
Looks like a place right out of a storybook.
I thought my owl might pique your interest.
I came as soon as I could.
I'd been so distracted by the scriptorium and Slytherin's book that I'd almost forgotten what it was that struck me about that triptych. This is the view painted on the canvas that was left on it.
That's incredible. You know this area well.
And while I was waiting for you, I scouted around and discovered an abandoned mine nearby, surrounded by Ranrock's loyalists.
Do you think there's a connection to the triptych?
I've no idea, but perhaps they're searching it, the way they did Rookwood Castle and Isidora's Manor. How do we want to handle this?
We need to see what they're doing. I say we take them head on. Let's bury some enemies.
Very well.
And I still have that rune symbol we found on the triptych. If there is a connection, I suspect we'll see that symbol again.
After you.
Revelio. There they are, up ahead.
I'll let you lead.
The wizard will have no choice but to submit to us.
No one
Revelio.
enters mine. Kill anyone who tries.
Ranrock's loyalists are out for blood.
Arresto Memento.
Hello? Confringo.
Pity.
I will have my revenge! No, that's embarrassing, isn't it? You won't
Revelio.
This is going well.
We make a good team.
We do at that.
Once again, we could fight our way through, or be discreet.
Know which one I'd choose.
Crucio!
It is. And that was relatively fun.
For better or for worse, we're in.
Confringo! I won't rest!
All around.
This mine looks like a tomb.
It was closed after accidents were reported. Now I see why.
I don't see any goblins in these webs.
Too disgusting for even a spider to prey on.
An intruder! All little magistrates won't distract me! I will make you
How many Ranrock's loyalists are in here?
Too many. They definitely think there's something here they want. Leviosa!
That ledge is awfully high. Any ideas?
Wingardium Leviosa! It's no wonder spiders give people goosebumps.
Could be the hairy legs, or...
Smashing.
Should have thought to conjure stairs.
Reparo.
We're making quick work of them.
Professor Hecat would be proud.
She would at that. Ranrock's loyalists have all but declared war.
Confringo! Bombarda!
We've still not seen a single rune symbol.
I think we're going to be a bit distracted from runes for a moment. We have another fight on our hands. Crucio! It's no wonder spiders give people goosebumps.
Could be the hairy legs, or the solar sign, or the venomous fangs. Should have thought to conjure stairs.
Reparo.
We've rid the world of another We're making quick work of them.
Professor Hecat would be proud.
She would at that. Ranrock's loyalists have all but declared war. We've still not seen a single rune symbol.
I think we're going to be a bit distracted from runes for a moment. We have another fight on our hands.
Distraction at that? Why am I not surprised?
We're not finished yet.
It's almost as if they were waiting.
Confringo!
Certainly cleared the room.
You're not a bad chap for a Slytherin.
You Gryffindors don't have a monopoly on bravery, you know.
Revelio. Confringo.
Now. We can have a look at a rune symbol above the cavern door.
Ranrock's loyalists never knew to look for it.
Wasn't expecting that.
Revelio.
What do you have there?
A journal entry by Isadora. Sebastian,
Hopefully it will
I think
help
I found
to unravel
something.
more of this mystery.
A canvas piece.
Brilliant. Our efforts weren't in vain after all. Still, something about this place feels odd.
If the triptych led us here to find this bit of canvas, we can probably assume that Isadora Morganach was here.
She seems to have been everywhere.
But if she was using the Undercroft and the cellar beneath her manor in Feldcroft, why would she create this space?
And why hide it behind cryptic rune symbols and ancient magic that no one but you could see?
Isadora and Percival Rackham, another of the Keepers, could see traces of ancient magic too.
Rackham? I haven't heard his name before.
His are some of the memories I've seen. I don't think he and Isadora saw eye to eye on how this magic should be used.
This is all rather baffling. Let's take the canvas back to the triptych. Perhaps the answers are there. This place is odd, to be sure, but I'm fascinated by it. Now, for the trek back out of here and to Hogwarts.
Unless we can find another passageway to the Undercroft. Let's have a look around.
And now for the moment of truth.
It has to fit. Please tell me you recognize the location in this bit of canvas.
The good news is I do, in fact.
And the bad news?
We're in for more trouble. I know that coast. Ranrock has taken over a huge mine in the surrounding area. Marrenweem has suffered for it. It's as bad as Feldcroft's become. Should we head there now?
We should wait.
Why?
All this time, we've been a step behind Ranrock. I may know someone who could help us get ahead.
Who is that?
Someone who knows Ranrock personally. They asked me not to mention their name to anyone.
A goblin? Tell me I'm wrong. You know goblins cursed my sister to shut her up. Said she should be seen and not heard.
I do, but not all goblins.
Not all goblins what? Have you forgotten Feldcroft? Have you forgotten the mine we just went through?
No, Sebastian, I haven't. You're not listening to me.
Why would I listen to someone so ignorant?
Perhaps your uncle was right about you. You don't know when to stop.
Oh, I do know when to stop. Unbelievable.
I wonder if I'm safe to explore in there.
You're here. Good.
Sebastian, that relic you mentioned.
Don't think I've forgotten about your goblin friend. I haven't. But I needed to tell you what I've learned. I believe one of Slytherin's students stumbled upon the relic during an assignment to study sarcophagi in this catacomb. From what I read in a report by the student, they weren't permitted to take it with them, so I must assume it's still here. As I mentioned earlier, this relic grants its holder the power to reverse dark magic curses. If it's in this catacomb, I have to find it. For Anne. I need to see her.
I'm ready to explore the catacomb. Perhaps we can visit Anne when we've finished.
Perfect. By the way, Ominous has been asking about you. You didn't tell him what we were doing, did you?
I didn't, I promise.
Good. Ominous would be livid if he knew what we were about to do. I'll be interested to compare what lies inside to what I've read about this catacomb. I'm sure that foul smell is the scent of success. Try not to lose your nerve just yet. Perhaps that was it. And the rest of the tomb will be insect-free.
Revelio. Spiders aren't insects.
Don't start.
Fringo!
rid the world of another spider. I shall sleep better. Now this is the sort of great room I want to be buried in.
Surrounded by grandeur.
Grandeur and then some. Even an old pile of bones. Lovely.
Bones outside a sarcophagus. Seems odd. Revelio. Bombarda! Revelio. There's something here by the altar.
What did you find?
Looks like part of a student's diary. It mentions plans to return for the relic and conjuring barricades using bones.
Of course. The student's summary referenced a space beyond the Great Room, which means this can't be a dead end. I have the report if you want to have a look. Let's divide and conquer. You work on sorting out the bone barricades. I'll look around and see what we missed. Hold on to that diary entry. There may be more to it.
It does mention something else. It says their next assignment was learning the Imperious Curse.
Really? Interesting. We need to focus on moving beyond this room. But let me think for a moment.
Of course. I'll start to search for those barricades.
Brilliant. There's more to this than even I imagined. Look, bones stacked oddly on either side of this archway.
Leave no stone unturned. Or, in this case, no bone. Bombarda! Revelio. Bombarda! Revelio. Bombarda! We're in a tomb. I assume eerie sounds come with the territory.
Spider. I shall sleep better tonight.
Bombarda! We've made it this far, but clearly we have more to do.
That's a lot of bone rattle. If this archway's been barricaded, we can find a way through. You've done it! I knew we'd get through. I felt it in my bones.
Nice.
Before we trudge on further, I've just realized something. The student's diary mentions the Imperious Curse. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to need it here. It's an unforgivable, but useful when you're outnumbered. Places the victim completely under the caster's control. So, if you'd like to learn Imperio, I can teach you.
It's probably wise to know the spell.
I couldn't agree more. A spell that could save your life shouldn't be unforgivable. You have a lot at stake. You have an ability that evidently no one's seen for centuries. Focus your wand movement. It's not an easy spell to master. There we go. Something troubling ahead. Be on your guard. Such a mess.
Bit dramatic, isn't it?
Bombarda!
Confringo!
This catacomb has suffered decay, just as the student's summary described.
I doubt anyone's been here in quite some time. Confringo! Incendio!
Another barricade. Considering how well you did on the last one, this should be a cinch.
How gracious of you.
I tried. That worked. Keep going. This looks different than what we faced before. Now we're also dealing with rune symbols. We've rid the world of another spider. I shall sleep better tonight.
Wingardium Leviosa. Wingardium Leviosa.
You are head and shoulders above these bones. Nicely done. I see why Slytherin's student was so entranced with this place.
For a moment there, I thought that would never end. Confringo!
Dead end. Lovely. All that for nothing.
Hold on. Don't give up yet. Sebastian, the relic! Look!
Could it be?
The note and rendition of the relic. It matches. This must be where the student left the relic.
I can't believe it. After all this, it lines up. We've really found it.
What do you suppose is meant by the dark sacrifice required to realize the relic's potential?
I have no idea. But we're here for the relic.
I'm willing to ignore what the journal says. We're taking the relic.
Agreed. This is meant to be. For Anne's sake, I'm taking it. Let's get to Feldcroft. I must keep this relic secret, especially from my uncle. Is that ominous? Ominous. The sounds we kept hearing. It was you.
You gave me no choice. I had to follow you. Sebastian, please, leave the relic alone. We can find another way to help Anne.
I'm sorry, Ominous, but I'm taking it.
No, you're not. If you won't put it back, then I will.
Hold on, both of you. Sebastian, please, take a step back.
Fine. But Ominous knows. I won't step back from a fight.
Can't believe this.
How much did you hear?
Everything. I heard you encourage Sebastian to take the relic.
Sebastian's done his research. He knows what he's doing.
Sebastian makes things sound easy when they could be impossible or dangerous. We need to stop him.
And if nothing will change his mind?
Something has to. I need your help.
Sebastian's right. We need that relic.
I'm sorry. My mind is made up.
Are you willing to sacrifice your friendship over this?
I might be. How could I choose to stand by and watch him do this?
What if the choice wasn't yours? You wouldn't be to blame for what happens.
What in the world are you suggesting? Imperium?
Now that you say it out loud, it sounds absurd. But I have another idea. We allow Sebastian to leave with the relic under one condition. After this, no more.
I feel that's what we agreed to in the scriptorium. I'm being taken for a fool.
You're not, Ominous. This may be the only way to keep your friendship intact. Let's trust him to know what's best.
Fine. If I trust him on this, I'm trusting you too. The dark arts seem harmless until it's too late. Go then. Leave with the relic. I'll not say a word more. I hope I don't regret this.
Sebastian! We're ready.
What is it? I haven't changed my mind.
Ominous has. Let's go.
What? Ominous?
I'll explain.
Well, what happened back then?
Ominous and I found a compromise.
Ominous simply needs a moment with you and he'll change his mind. Is that it?
I told him we ought to give you this chance, that the relic is too important to ignore.
There has to be more to it than that. Tell me.
We agreed on what was needed, Sebastian. You have my word.
I never wanted to keep all... As we were leaving, Ominous wouldn't even acknowledge me. That's not like him.
He was troubled, Sebastian. Even though we agreed to it all, it's been a lot to take in.
I thought he understood. Velkov's in trouble. They're under attack.
What is it? Let's hurry.
No, over there, by the hamlet.
boy! What have you done?
Saved my sister.
With an unforgivable curse. From that damned book, no doubt. Your father would be ashamed. You've gone too far, Sebastian. Stay away from her. From all of us.
What did my uncle expect me to do? The Imperious curse saved Anne's life. That goblin was going to kill her.
You did what you had to do.
If I have to keep proving that to my uncle, I will. He cannot banish me from my own home. From my sister.
It might be best to let him calm down a while. May I speak to him? Perhaps I can help to ease the tension a bit.
You may be right. Very well. Probably best if I get away from here for a while. I'll head back to Hogwarts.
What was he thinking?
Pardon me, Mr. Sallow?
What Sebastian did was inexcusable. You cannot possibly be about to defend him.
Sebastian and I have encountered Ranrock's loyalists before. That goblin would have killed Anne.
This family does not resort to using dark magic even against our enemies. What Sebastian did cannot be undone. That you are defending Sebastian's behavior at all tells me everything I need to know. You are as guilty as he is. Sebastian is to come nowhere near Feldcroft, nowhere near Anne. Unforgivable curses are so named for a reason. If I hear that either of you continues down this path, if either of you uses dark magic, I will notify the headmaster immediately. Why, Sebastian?
Quiet! Whenever I hear from Hogwarts,
Might some kind soul help me?
Did you speak with my uncle?
I wish I had better news about your uncle and Anne.
Well, what did he say?
I'm afraid he wants you nowhere near Feldcroft, nor Anne.
I had to stop that goblin from killing my sister. He had no right to banish me from my own twin. If he thinks banishing me means I'm going to give up on Anne, he's sorely mistaken.
He also said he cannot excuse the use of dark magic in any form, and that if he hears of either of us using it, he'll go straight to Professor Black.
Huh? That relic Dark magic or not, is the key to saving Anne. To reverse that curse. I will not lose Anne for good. I should send the crest to Anne. She'll know that we need to meet.
I'm afraid I don't follow.
Nothing, just a thought. Now I'm more determined than ever to learn what power that relic has.
I shall wait to hear from you then.
Thank you. I very much appreciate you standing by me through all of this. I'll send you an owl. Have news.
Deek would like to talk with you when you have a moment.
don't think it's anything special.
Hello there. Hello there.
Hello, Amit. Do I recall you saying that you speak gobbledygook?
I did. I do. Speak it. Is this to do with the goblin I saw you with in Hogsmeade?
It is. His name is Lodgok. We could use your help with something. He's waiting for me near a goblin mine. Would you be willing to help?
Of course. How exciting. Well, might this be dangerous?
I think he simply wants to show me something that involves gobbledygook. If it helps, he's a friend of Sirona's.
Good to hear. Good to hear. If Sirona trusts him, then I feel much better.
Lodgok is waiting. Shall we go?
Of course. I just want to check the pronunciation of a couple of key terms first. So I will meet you there.
Revelio. Thank you for being willing to help me, Amit.
You are very welcome. I'm looking forward to meeting your friend, Lodgok.
Lodgok is waiting. Shall we go?
Of course. I just want to check the pronunciation of a couple of key terms first. So I will meet you there.
Handy resource indeed, your field guide. I'm most pleased to be included.
A friend who speaks gobbledygook is meeting us. Before he arrives, perhaps you could tell me why we're here.
Of course. Unfortunately, presenting Ranrock with the Helmet of Urtkot did not have the effect I'd hoped. Because he knew the details surrounding its plunder, he presumed I'd had help from a witch or wizard in retrieving it.
You said this would repair the chasm between the two of you. How did you not expect him to react this way?
I'm afraid we do not have the luxury of rational expectation when it comes to Ranrock. Damn Bragbor and his blasted journals.
Bragbor?
An ancestor of Ranrock's, renowned metalworker. If we are to work together, I suppose I must tell you more. Not long ago, Ranrock sent me to collect a recently unearthed set of Bragbor's journals. They described repositories that Bragbor had been commissioned to build for a group of witches and wizards.
What do you mean, repositories?
Large, magically fortified receptacles crafted from goblin metal. Ranrock recruited others to help me locate the repositories. We were to search anywhere that was connected to 5 names mentioned in the journals: Rackham, Fitzgerald, Bakar, Morganach, and Rookwood.
Rookwood Castle.
That is where we began our search.
Why does Ranrock care so much about these repositories?
He cares about what they contain. For centuries, wizards have refused to share their magical knowledge with goblins. Your kind will not even let us carry wands. Thus, many goblins, myself included, have spent our lives mistrusting wizard kind. Ranrock was convinced that the repositories contained a magical power that wizards wanted to keep for themselves. He is determined to take it for goblin kind. But
Here comes my friend Amit. Probably best to continue our conversation later.
Greetings, Lodgok. It is an honor, sir.
You speak gobbledygook.
Oh, Bagalio.
Enough. Please do not tell me that was meant to be gobbledygook.
Yes. Perhaps my pronunciation was a bit off. I imagine certain dialects differ.
Pronunciation is not the issue. I barely recognize that as language. I trust you can read gobbledygook better than you can speak it?
I can, Sir Lodgok.
Just Lodgok. Thankfully, we only need someone who can decipher written plans, since I cannot join you in the mine.
What written plans? And why can't you come with us?
We need some idea of what Ranrock knows or is plotting. I suspect a careless loyalist may have left plans behind. And I'm unable to join you because I cannot risk anyone reporting my presence to Ranrock. All you need to do is not be seen, either by the eye above the enchanted door or a loitering loyalist.
Armit and I can do this.
I will await your return. I shall see you soon.
The door is looking at us. Revelio. We need to break its line of sight somehow.
Finder! Bombarda!
Revelio.
Clever. Books so rarely prepare one for reality. A real goblin mine. It's even grander than I had expected. I cannot believe I met a goblin.
Let's just learn what we can and get out.
Look at this. Impressive workmanship for so simple a device.
Impressive workmanship aside, it's the only way forward.
I still can't believe we're inside a real goblin mine.
Fringo!
I've read about mines like this, but seeing one is something else altogether.
We need to be careful. As I'm sure you know, not all goblins are as friendly as Lodgok, to say the least.
Glacier!
Three times. chance off of me.
I cannot believe I met a goblin.
Let's just learn what we can and get out.
Look at this lift. Impressive workmanship for so simple a device.
Impressive workmanship aside, it's the only way forward.
I still can't believe we're inside a real goblin mine. Here. I've read about mines like this, but seeing one is something else altogether.
One less human to worry about.
We need to be careful. As I'm sure you know, not all goblins are as friendly as others.
You can't stop me. Seems your arm was a shield. Unforgivable.
That was a little more than I'm used to.
I'll get us through here safely, Emmett. You have my word.
Clever.
We're being watched by a door.
I feel like a character from one of the adventure books I read during the summer holidays.
Let's take a look around, Amit. See if we can find any plans.
Bound to be plans around here somewhere. A schematic. They're building something. I can't quite make it out. Curious. Let me know if you see any more plans or schematics. We can't return to Lodgok empty-headed. Fascinating to see gobbledygook written in a goblin hand. The flourishes are extraordinary. There must be more notes around here. What could they be building? If I'm translating this correctly, and I think that I am, they're building something rather large. But what? I will get to the bottom of what is happening.
At your service. Your little magic tricks won't distract me. Let's get this unforgivable.
Bombard it! Stay close. I've handled much worse. Revelio.
Another boiler. This place is more complex than I had expected.
Confringo. Accio. Revelio. Should be the last of them I'll meet.
Right. Don't wish to be seen, do we? This is not good. They're building enormous drills, bigger than this mine could contain.
Let's get out of here and tell Lodgok what we found. There must be a quicker way out of here than retracing our steps.
I need a moment to catch my breath. This was more than I bargained for.
I'm glad you came with me, Amit. Now that we know what they're up to, we can get out of here. Out of here, Amit. Look, the lift.
A welcome sight indeed. Can we please talk about what...
That wasn't so bad, was it?
It was. It really was. I'm afraid I've had enough adventure for one day. For a lifetime, perhaps.
Thank you, Amit. I couldn't have done it without you. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to have a word with Lodgok.
Understood? I'll leave you to it. Your goblin secrets are safe with me, but I get to write the book about this escapade someday. Without further ado, adieu.
They're building enormous drills. We found their plans. Ranrock must be searching for the repositories.
I fear you are correct. Other than Rookwood Castle, however, I do not know where else he plans to search.
I've been wondering about something else you said before we entered the mine.
Yes?
If you share Ranrock's views, then why are you helping me?
I expected Rookwood Castle to be deserted when I arrived to begin my search. So was surprised to find a witch there who had set up a sort of improvised research site. She was studying something so intently that she almost didn't notice me. When she looked up, I thought she would react with fear or disdain. But instead she did something that I will never forget. Without a moment's hesitation, she smiled and asked me to sit with her. She told me that she was a researcher and showed me a small, oddly shaped container with a strange symbol on it. She was certain it was made of goblin metal, but was unable to open it. She wanted to work together.
Miriam.
Yes. But how did you...
Professor Fig's wife. He told me of her research, and I know of the container.
Ah. The reverence with which she talked of goblins and their intelligence and skill, it caught me entirely off guard. I'd never been treated with such respect by a witch or wizard. So, to my surprise, I let her study the container if she would allow me to search the castle on my own. We parted ways, with her promising to share what she'd learned. More of Ranrock's recruits arrived, and we began to dig, eventually locating the first repository. Ranrock was thrilled with our discovery, but furious when I told him about Miriam. Berated me for trusting a witch, and I heard she had been killed.
You think Ranrock murdered her?
I don't want to believe it, but I don't know. After that, something shifted in me. I had seen how the power from the repositories was transforming Ranrock, transforming all of them. I could no longer remain a part of it.
Thank you, Lodgok, for telling me this.
I tell you all of this so that you understand what is at stake. Ranrock never found all of Bragbor's journals. But the ones he did find suggest that Bragbor at some point built a repository far greater in size than the one beneath Rookwood Castle. What you've discovered here today worries me deeply. If Ranrock learns of the location of that repository, I fear we shall be destined for a great war. I will find out what Ranrock knows. Watch for my owl.
To. I have to complete the next trial as soon as I can.
Deke would like to talk with you when you have a moment.